Hey guys, it's live Friday night. It's James from Life Transitions. We uh, we warned you we were coming live tonight, and we'd like to fulfill our promise or our threat to you. We're just trying to work the bugs out of this live Facebook business. It seems to be a really effective way to communicate with people. I know I watch these videos of whether it's a golf course people, or a restaurant, or a mechanic, or therapist. There's all kinds of people that make these videos, and I think they're informative. They seem real, as real people make these real videos. They're unscripted for the most part. They're live too, which is kind of spooky. And I think that's why a lot of people maybe shy away from them because they're totally live. You've got zero script that you're following unless you're going to read something, and this is just kind of cool. We thought tonight we would address a couple of questions that we've had recently, and we have people communicate with us all the time, whether they just literally like walk into our office, which is great. You do that anytime you want. Corner of Baldoon and McNaughton Ave West in Chatham. Come on in, give you a cup of coffee, or people will call us from wherever they're at and ask a question. Sometimes that kind of people feel a bit safer being on the telephone to ask a question, or on Facebook. Facebook has been a gigantic engine for us. People feel safe to sort of leave a message, leave a comment, send a private message, just get some questions answered. Something that came up the last 48 hours or so, there was a story that appeared. CBC took it, and the headline was "Doesn't Seem Right. Funeral home overcharges grieving families for cremation carbon tax." You probably saw that story. Carbon tax connected with cremation. And here in Ontario, the cremation rate is roughly about, let's say, 72, 75% or so. Quite high, higher than it's ever been, and will probably never go down, really. So cremation is very common for a lot of families that are making funeral selections. So when you mix a headline like that together, cremation and carbon tax and overcharging, people kind of go a little bit bananas. And the we got a lot of messages on that. People saying, "Is that going to affect us here in Ontario?" And really, you all need to read the story yourself on CBC, and there was a mixture. There was a math error made by the funeral home, and perhaps they overcharged and didn't think anyone was going to notice. And certainly Alberta has instituted the carbon tax, and you can imagine, without knowing any specific details, the cremation process does use a significant amount of fuel to ignite, to combust, and all those kind of things. So logically, we'd say, well, yeah, there must be a lot of carbon taxable moments in cremation, and really there isn't. I think we're down to cents, as in less than $1 type of thing. We specifically contacted the crematorium that we mainly use in Sarnia called Lakeview, and I said, "Now, are you guys affected by the carbon tax?" And they assured us that no, not at all. If they were, they'd be absorbing that, so there won't be any increase to the cremation fee that we're involved with. Another question we seem to have. Did I address that? I guess I did. The carbon tax, interesting story, sad story. Tends to see the tendency for the general public to, in many ways, see the funeral industry in a negative light, because that headline was, the grab was people being overcharged by the funeral industry. So certainly, if you've received a carbon tax addition to your funeral bill, let's hear about it, and let's get that fixed up real quick. That's not right, but it won't be affecting us here in Ontario. Another question that comes up quite a bit, because we are truly a more affordable option for families than the traditional model of a funeral home, because we have much less overhead, so we're legitimately able to charge much less. We tell people we're not a discount place, we're just a different place. We don't have landscape property and sculpted, manicured shrubs and people with matching ties and whatnot. We have a much smaller operation, so therefore we charge less, so we are a more affordable option. But people will say, "Well, I hear what you're saying, you're affordable, more affordable, but what's the cheapest deal we can get here? And many would say, well, a simple cremation without a gathering would be the cheapest, most affordable, efficient way to take care of someone after they passed away. But there's actually, before you even get to that, there's something that you would call, the technical term is body bequeathal, but very few people use the word bequeathal. That's a strange, almost like a church word or something, but or body donation. People are often familiar with the concept of donating one's organs. You hear that, maybe it's kind of a grisly kind of thought, but people are often encouraged to sign donor cards and things like that, that if there's viable, usable organs, those that are inclined that way would say, well, yeah, please, please, Mr. Who's ever in charge, when I'm dying, take the organs and use them. But some people would say, well, no, I'd like to donate my entire body to science. It's important to know if you're wired for either one of those options, it's important to know that they are completely distinct from one another. If you are a person that would say, yes, if there are usable parts, so to speak, I want people to use them, that's a beautiful thing. That's one way. But if someone says, I would like to also donate my body, you don't get to do both. Full body donation, or body bequeathal, takes place at a medical school, or that's the receiving body from a medical school. They require that the body that was being donated is completely intact. And so, of course, if a person has donated particular organs and whatnot, that is therefore not an intact body. You're therefore disqualified. You don't get to donate your whole body. So, just so we're clear on that, organ donation, beautiful thing. That's one thing. Full body donation, also a beautiful thing. Whole other thing, a whole other operation where you can't do both. It's one or the other. I was about to sneeze there. This is live. You can do that, I guess. It's my house. I'm in track pants. I can do that. The Schulich School of Medicine. It's a part of the UWO, or University of Western Ontario Medical School. That's where the bodies are received for a full body donation. So back to what I was saying about the dollars. People are looking for the most affordable option. If you can imagine a person that has chosen to donate their body, you would still make arrangements with the funeral company. Let's just say us, Life Transitions. We're taking care of the transportation of an individual's body to the school. We're doing some minor paperwork, some registration of that person, because they as in the school would require knowing that an individual deceased person has been registered properly and proper documentation would accompany them, and that would be it. That would be your involvement with a funeral company. We have a package, a body donation package, that's $1,500. That's everything involved, taxes, everything. That is it. You are done. What happens is with a body donation, the school, by way of showing gratitude, pays for the eventual cremation, which takes place in about a 1 to 3 year time period. They will do what they deem as appropriate with a donated body. So 1 to 3 years, they will be using that person's body. Maybe they officially would use the term cadaver at that point. But at the end of that period, the school is paying for the cremation. So you're not paying for the cremation. They're paying for your cremation. They're also paying for the container, the cremation box that the person's body is in. They're paying for that. And they're even providing, what I understand is a communal memorial service by way of saying thank you to these families for entering into this transaction of furthering science. So there's kind of a beautiful ending to that. The other thing with a body donation, families that have prearranged with us and have prearranged the service have been very clear to know ahead of time two things. One, that you need to have a plan B, because there are certain criteria that would render a person's body not usable. Certain medical conditions, too much time passed from deceased to being arrived there. I would encourage you to look at the Schulich. That's SCHLULTZ, something like that. If you look for body bequeathal, Google that at UWO, you'll come to their page. There's links actually on our Facebook page. They lay out all the criteria, but the things with body donation, the first thing is you need to have a plan B, as in if the body bequeathal can't complete, you would then be moving to a direct cremation, and that you would pay for those things yourself. And the other thing is that although you would be cremated by the school, they don't necessarily keep a person's ashes. Many families that we've dealt with have said, well, we have family plots, and we would still like to have our family service with those ashes. So of course the school gives back ashes. They don't own your ashes afterwards. So it's not for everybody, that's for sure. But it's it's the most affordable thing. It's quite unique, and there's lots of information about that. Again, there's links on our Facebook page. What else did I want to talk about? I guess, well, that's pretty much it. One thing I'd like to mention, we, thanks to the world of Facebook and live videos and just people looking around at each other, we've made a connection with some kindred spirits down in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yeah, that's in the USA. That's down there. That's down south somewhere. And there's a company that's called the Lincoln Family Funeral Care Company, and they're kindred spirits in the sense that they're very, very motivated to inform consumers about alternative ways to approach the funeral transaction, to perhaps educate funeral consumers to not necessarily spend thousands of dollars. So this is what people tell us all the time. I'm not spending $10,000. Good, don't. You don't need to. You can if you want. There's great ways to spend $10,000 on a funeral, but it's not a must. Where maybe it would have seemed like that years ago, but the Lincoln Family Funeral Care Company, we're sharing ideas back and forth, and we're quite a distance from each other. And Lincoln, Nebraska is, I understand, about 300,000 people, where that is more than this entire region we're in. We serve Chatham, Kent, and Sarnia-Lambton. So Lincoln, Nebraska, they've got more people that live there than are even in our entire area. But it's great to see that they see the value in the same approach, that just giving straight answers to consumers and creating a new avenue to deal with the inevitable. People seem to be warming up to this. We feel like we're kind of consumer freedom fighters, and they're in the same boat. So shout out to them. We hope to be doing shared videos with each other, as we live in two different universes in many ways, two different countries. But the reality is, whether you're American or Canadian, we're stuck with death. There's no cure. There's no one raising money to find a cure. We are unfortunately stuck with it. So best deal with it sensibly and straight on. Well, you know what? There we go. Let's not belabor this. Let's call this Friday night. We've had a very busy week in our little company, serving families and assisting people. I like to think that we stand shoulder to shoulder with our families. We don't dictate to our families. We take their direction, but we stand shoulder to shoulder as we serve them, and we do so with compassion and patience. And but it's been a long week, so it's Friday night. We're at home, got the tie off. It's casual attire, and thanks so much for watching. You guys are really neat. I see folks have chimed in here, and we're going to work the bugs out of this live Facebook thing. But I think this is we're here to stay. And all the best. Have a fantastic weekend. This is James from Life Transitions.